Now we are live.
Yes.
Should we wait for 2 minutes because there is 2 minutes to start at the 3 p.m. Then we can start, or should we start? Vijay, I need your
Yes.
permission to start.
I think we wait for 2 minutes.
Okay, we will wait for 2 minutes. विजय आपको कंपनी देंगे, मेरे को दो कंपनी सेक्रेटरी को लेके आना पड़ा आज. मेरे को डर था कि आपकी कंपनी में क्वेश्चन ना पूछ लो मुझसे, मेरे को सपोर्ट हो जाएगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Network issue हो गया. Network issue हो गया.
Yes.
I welcome to all the participants. Hello friends, myself C.A. Sangam Agrawal, and I welcome C.A. J.K. Chaudhary ji, C.A. Vijay Kumar Gupta ji, who is the NRC member, and our today's speaker C.A. Payal Kataria ji, to on this session. It is going to be very important for all the participants and especially for all the professionals, those who are doing their practice in GST. Nowadays, as you all know, that GST is one of the area which is very much in confusion. We can say even after 3 years, still it is not solved. In every day we have some kind of difficulty in the GST. So today we have held organized this session so that we can solve our problem related to GST. So friend, today we have a session especially on the GST registration issues, because now GST registration is not so easy because there are many hurdles and many critical issues which involve in GST registration. As some senior said, if foundation is correct, then later on the building become very good. So GST registration is somehow is the foundation of the GST practice and for the GST compliances. If somehow we made some mistake in GST registration, it will going to be difficult in the later on stage, whether it is GST refund, whether it is GST assessment. So friends, it is very important to for all of us to understand the GST issues related to registration first, then we can go further in the GST matters. Nowadays, although GST compliances has been postponed due to COVID-19, but still it is a very important topic for all of us to know and understand the important issue, especially in the registration. As we all know that there is a IRP in the market, insolvency professionals. Now companies under liquidations, under insolvencies, they IRPs appoints, they are under CRP. So their further issue GST under GST comes through this kind of process, which make them more complicated. So today we have organized this session especially for the latest in GST registration and the critical issue in GST for especially for the resolution professionals. So not taking a much time, I request my all the subscribers, all the viewers, kindly subscribe the channel. And I welcome to CA Vijay Kumar Gupta ji, who is the NRC member, who is a fellow member of ICI and having a very depth knowledge of company law. He is a mentor of us, mentor of me especially in the company law matter. And with his due permission, soon we will get his session also on company law on our this channel. So we will wait for that day when we will have his session. We will invite him as a speaker on this platform. Currently, he is motivating us, especially in a company law matter. So I over to Vijay ji to share his word of wisdom over this session. Vijay ji, I want to add here from last 40 days, we are doing these webinars and we have done more than 50 webinars and including many professionals in engage many professionals through knowledge sharing so that public at large can get the benefit of this knowledge sharing, and this knowledge sharing will help in their professional endeavor. So over to you, Vijay ji, for your word of wisdom.
Thank you, Sangam ji. And Welcome CA JK चौधरी जी and our guest speaker CS पायल कटारिया जी। सबसे पहले तो मैं संगम जी के बारे में ये बात कहना चाहूंगा, जब से मैं इनसे 5-6 साल से मिला हूँ, इनका चेहरा मुस्कुराता हुआ रहता है। मतलब अगर किसी प्रोफेशनल के कारण से या किसी पर्सनल कारण से परेशान भी होगा तो जैसे 2 साल के बच्चे को देख के हंसता है ना, ऐसे संगम को देख के उसका दिन तो वैसे ही हंसी खुशी से निकलेगा। दूसरा, कोविड-19 की वजह से हम सभी ने काफी रेस्ट भी कर लिया है। जो भी परेशानियां रही वो तो अलग मैटर है, बाकी आज के इसमें लॉकडाउन खुल गया है और लोगों को घर से निकलने में कोविड की वजह से कम और 2 महीने हैबिट रहने से घर से निकलने में भी इच्छा कम हो रही है। तो जो मैटर कहते हैं कि अच्छी हैबिट को अपनाने के लिए 21 दिन का टाइम लगता है, तो गंदी हैबिट को अपनाने के लिए भी 21 दिन का ही टाइम लगता है। तो जैसे जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में बताया कि इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल्स को क्या दिक्कतें आती हैं, तो जो मेरा मानना है, मैं कंपनी लॉ मैटर्स ज्यादा देखता हूं, तो रेगुलेशन प्रोफेशनल के लिए जीएसटी एक अलग फील्ड होता है। और हाँ, कि हमारी जो गेस्ट स्पीकर हैं ये कॉर्पोरेट डिग्री के साथ साथ में जीएसटी हैंडल कर रही हैं। तो पता लगता है जब किसी कॉर्पोरेट की पेटिशन एडमिट हो जाती है आईबीसी के अंडर में एनसीएलटी के द्वारा, तो हाउ टू मैनेज द लाइबिलिटी बिफोर द एडमिशन ऑफ द पेटिशन, क्योंकि सिस्टम उसको अलाउ नहीं करता है कि भाई पुरानी लाइबिलिटी पे करे बिना आगे जाए। लेकिन आईबीसी लॉ इज ओवर अलाउ ऑल दी लॉज, नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग अदर प्रोवाइडेड इन एनी अदर लॉ। सो आज के कुछ इश्यूज ऐसे हैं कि भाई पुरानी लाइबिलिटीज को कैसे हैंडल किया जाएगा, इसके ऊपर कुछ एनसीएलटी के ऑर्डर भी आ चुके हैं कि भाई नई लाइबिलिटी रेगुलेशन प्रोफेशनल देखेगा, पुरानी लाइबिलिटी तो वाटरफॉल मैकेनिज्म के द्वारा एज ए ऑपरेशनल करेक्टर उसकी जो भी लाइबिलिटी बनेगी, चाहे सिस्टम अलाउ करे चाहे ना करे, बट आफ्टर द एडमिशन ऑफ पेटिशन सीआईआरपी प्रोसेस में देयर इज नो मैंडेटरी प्रोविजन फॉर पेमेंट ऑफ प्रीवियस ड्यूटी। उसके अलावा कोविड-19 से बाहर अब कोविड-19 की हवा को बिल्कुल ही भूल जाइए, ये मेरा पर्सनल कहना है कि भाई कोविड-19 फैलेगा नहीं फैलेगा अलग मैटर है, बाकी अपने आप को काम में ध्यान लगाएं। नेगेटिव चीज सोचेंगे नेगेटिव चीज आएगी। इसलिए मैंने खुद ने 24 मार्च के बाद में न्यूज चैनल को दिन में 10 मिनट से ज्यादा नहीं देखा। दिन में एक बार वही न्यूज रिपीट होती रहती है, तो नेगेटिव सोचेंगे तो नेगेटिव। एक छोटा सा 2 लाइन का एक किस्सा आया था कि जी मैं प्राइवेट चैनल देख रहा था तो मुझे बड़ी घबराहट हो रही थी, और जैसे मैंने डीडी न्यूज पे और डीडी चैनल पे कंफर्म किया तो काफी स्वस्थ महसूस कर रहा हूँ। तो सिंपली बात है, अच्छी चीजें सोचें, अच्छा फील करें। तो नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट संगम जी टू प्रोसीड फर्दर।
थैंक यू विजय जी। आपका आना इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे हमें मोटिवेट करता है ऐसे सेशंस को और करने के लिए। आपको बुलाने का मेन हमारा मकसद ही यही था कि हमें आपसे अप्रिशिएशन मिले और हम मोटिवेट हो कि हम ऐसे और भी सेशंस करें अपने प्रोफेशनल ब्रदर सिस्टर्स के लिए, ज्यादा से ज्यादा नॉलेज शेयर कर पाए। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर कमिंग इन अ शॉर्ट इंटरवल, और वी वेट फॉर यू एज ए स्पीकर ऑल्सो।
Yes.
Thank you, Vijay ji. Friends, I also want to introduce CA JK Chaudhary ji, who is a very senior member of us. He is a mentor for all of us because he became chartered accountant in 1979. So he's a very senior member, and he's a mentor for us, and he's guiding for all of us, and he's guiding me also to doing all this all this program for the professionals. So I also invite him for share his word of wisdom.
Yeah, thank you, Sangam. Sangam, it is very good that you are doing these seminars regularly. Since lockdown is there, it is helping CA professionals to refresh their knowledge, and in addition, it is also helping them to remain inside and avoid the COVID. So, regarding this GST topic for today, the registration normally in any statute is a fairly simple thing, but in GST it is quite complicated. Though it is a central law, but if you are operating in multiple states, you have to get the multiple registrations. Even in one state, if you have 2 establishments, so you have a choice to have 1 registration or 2 registrations. You have to decide what is to be done. Then for this IRP, if IRP appointed, then he has the option to take a new registration or continue the old one. So that is also one issue. So then there is a basic exemption of 40 lakhs in GST. So if you take a registration, that 40 lakhs exemption will be gone. So there are so many issues in registration of in GST, unlike any other statute. So I think Payal will do justice to this today.
Yes, yes.
I
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Second to further proceeding.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So, friends, I will not take you much time. Just giving brief profile of Payal ji. She is a basically fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretary of India. She is a gold medalist in MCOM. She has over 10-year experience as consultant and advisor in the company, law and indirect taxation. CS Parul provides advisory services to organization on GST and also provides industry in adoption digital technology in operations, use analytical for visibility and the decision making. She is a keen GST speaker and consultant. She had trained over 500 professionals. She contributed in the capacity as special invitee in GST Core Committee of ICSI in the year 17 and 2018. Presently, member of the Advanced Tax Law Subject Expert Committee of ICSI. She keeps writing representation suggestion to Ministry of Finance on GST matter and difficulty faced by the GST stakeholders. So I will not take much time, and over to you, Payal ji, to take this deliberation further. Thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, is my screen visible?
It is not yet, but it is saying it is sharing. So might be in 1 or 2 seconds it will be, or
Okay.
might be you can share again.
Okay, I have already shared. Is it visible now?
No, it is not visible. So
Paused.
kindly do stop sharing first from the top, then
Okay.
share it again.
Is it visible now?
Yes, it is visible now.
Now.
Okay. Thank you, CA Sangamji, and my mentor, Shri JK Chaudhary ji, and CA Vijay Kumar Gupta ji. And it's a very good initiative taken by CA Sangamji for organizing so many webinars on the GST, and every time, even this time, he started again from the GST registration. And you must be thinking that this is the first chapter of the GST, and then again we are starting with the GST registration. As you know that the GST is evolving, and I think it will keep evolving for rest of maybe 20 to 30 years also. Why I'm saying so? Because even 30 years has already been passed that the Canada has launched their GST, and they are still saying that they are evolving. So we can also expect the duration of 20 to 30 years for the evolution of the GST. If we are again talking about the latest in the GST registration, there might be possibility after the downline of 20 years, again, there must be something latest in the GST registration. So as today we have come up with the latest in the GST, that's what's happening in the GST registration. As already highlighted by C. Sangamji, that even today, it's very difficult to take the GST registration. In the year 2017, it was very easy to take the GST registration. Everyone was in a rush to take the GST registration, and even the department was in the rush to give the registration numbers, right? So whosoever was applying, the department was, I think, blindly they gave the registration, and whatever blindly they have given, now they are facing the consequences of that. And all due to that consequence which happened in the first year of, that is the 2017. Now due to that outcome, now again we are reading the latest in GST. Why the latest in GST? And this is actually the solution to the various problems which we suffered. Now see. So regarding the latest, what has actually happened, that during this period of the 3 years, there was a certain problems, and the major problem was respect to the fly-by-night operators. There was a problem of the bogus billing. There was a problem of the wrong ITC frauds or something related to that. And the main foundation and the main cause of all these problems was the registrations. The registration which were taken by the applicants, they were actually fraudulent people, and they were using this registration number for certain bogus billings and for availing the input tax credit. Now, government suffered a loss of losses due to this frauds, and to solve this particular problem, Finance Bill 2019, it talked about the amendment in Section 25 of GST. And Section 25 particularly talks about the GST registration. And in Section 25, this Finance Bill 2019, it added certain few additional subsections, like the A2D they have added. And once they added all these amendments in the Finance Bill and further in the GST Act, then the role of your GST Council came into picture. And in the 39th GST Council Committee, which was held on the 14th March, certain decisions they were taken by the Council. And their main focus was that to curb the fake invoicing and then the fraudulent passing of the ITC, some restriction should be imposed on passing of the ITC in case of the new GST registrations. And they also talked about the physical verification of the premises, and they also talked about the financial KYC of the registered people. Now, in combination of this Finance Act and then the decision taken by the GST Council, then the further outcome was the notifications which were issued on the 23rd March 2020. These three notifications, notification number 17, 18 and 19, which was issued on 23rd March 2020. These all the notifications, they are particularly dealing with the registration aspect. Fine. If someone wants to know or want to know detail about these, then I recommend that to refer these three notifications with respect to the registrations. And then, of course, now there is amendment in an act through the Finance Bill, and simultaneously now there is a requirement to change or make the amendments in the rules, right? Because all the things, they are related. Now that's why the third amendment in the CGST rule was also done, and this was initiated through the notification number 16/2020 Central Tax, which was also issued on the 23rd March 2020. So this is the whole picture that how these new registration process or these new latest in the GST, they came into picture, and what's actually the history behind the launching of this new section, that is the Section 25 subsection A2D. So this is the whole history behind this, like to solve certain problem, right? Now see what is actually particularly written under these notifications, under this Finance Bill, and what actually is the outcome of these rules and how they are impacting us, and what we are now supposed to do, what type of precautions we will take, and let's make a further analysis of all this, how this will impact us. Fine. Now the first
Palji, your voice is not coming. Hello.
kindly bear with us because sometimes there is a network problem, but within a few seconds the network comes again and then I will continue. Okay, hope I am now audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. So as section 25 talked about register, particularly about the registration. So what's new things they have come up in section 25 through this finance bill. So first they added this 6A. 6A talked about that every registered person shall undergo authentication or furnish the proof of possession of Aadhaar number in such form or the manner within such time as may be prescribed, and provided further that in case of failure to undergo the authentication or furnish the proof of possession of Aadhaar or furnish the alternative or viable means of identification, registration allotted to such person shall be deemed to be invalid, and other provisions of this act shall apply as if the person does not have the registration. So what these 6A, 6B, 6C and 6D, they are talking about that the Aadhaar authentication by the registered person, the applicant of the registration, has to be done. Now they have made it the mandatory in case you are applying for the new registration. But what if some person is not having the Aadhaar? It means the person cannot get the GST registration. No, this is not so. So they have provided a solution to that problem also, that okay, if you have a Aadhaar and you are authentication and there is a verification of your Aadhaar number, then you will not feel any hassle, you will not face any problem. Then there will be a smooth go in taking the GST registration, right? But if the person is not having a Aadhaar and he is unable to provide that this particular document Aadhaar, in that scenario they are saying that okay, registration will be given, but that person has to provide some other means of identification, right? So here the procedure is somehow different. Otherwise, if you have a Aadhaar and there is a authentication of your Aadhaar, then you will not face any problem. This is the new thing they have learned through this. Now let's see the procedure, what we have to follow in this case. Now simultaneously certain rules they have also been changed. Now first of all, the new rule which is added, this is sub rule 4A is added in the main rule 8. What it is talking about, that the applicant shall, while submitting an application under sub rule 4 with effect from 1st April 2020, will undergo authentication of Aadhaar number for grant of registration. What it means here, that with effect from the 1st April 2020, any person who is applying for the new registration, now it is mandatory for you to provide the authentication of your Aadhaar. Only then the registration will be given. If you are not having Aadhaar, then the procedure is some different, that I will explain you in the later slides. So this is the one thing which is clear to all of you. I hope that now Aadhaar authentication is important. Now, as I told you that if it is with you, then it's a fine. But for example, the scenario is that now you fail to authenticate Aadhaar number because the person who is applying is not having the registration. Now they have put a certain additions in the sub rule 1 of rule 9. So the portion which is written in this black, the first paragraph, and this black one, this is the already rule 9 which is into a picture, but they have added from this word provided, which is in this maroon color. This is actually added under the sub rule 1. So as you know that once you apply for the registration, that just within the 3 working days, the proper officer is under the obligation actually to provide the GST number. If he is not working on this, he is not approving the GST registration, then it is implied that you have received the GST number. That's why they are always vigilant that they take an action just within the 3 days, actually 3 working days. This 3 working days is very important here, that to take an action. But now for these people, for this particular scenario, no more criteria of this 3 working days. Fine. What it means, what they have added now, which is in this maroon color, the addition in this rule is that provided that where a person other than those notified under the subsection 6D of section 25 fails to undergo authentication of Aadhaar number as specified in sub rule 4A of rule 8, then registration shall be granted only after the physical verification of the principal place of business in presence of said person not later than 60 days from the date of application in the manner provided under Rule 25, and provisions of Sub Rule 5 shall not be applicable in such case. So what is the meaning of this maroon text which is added? Now they are saying that if you are under this particular scenario, then in that case, the physical verification of principal place of business is mandatory, and that too in the presence of the said person. It means two things. They are very important, that the physical verification of the principal place, along with that there should be that said person should be present at the time of verification. And third important thing which we must observe here and note down here, that now they are taking the time period of the 60 days here, right? And these days, if you will call to the GST and help desk, and for example, during these days of this lockdown time, if you call them that you applied for the registration and then the registration is not approved, and usually the answer which you will receive from that they inform you that now the government is taking the 60 days. Now they can take the 60 days, right, instead of that 3 working days. But actually I think they are not communicating correct information to you, because this particular 60 days, they are applicable only in this scenario of this authentication of fails to authentication of the Aadhaar number. But if you have given a authentication of your Aadhaar number, then again the provision of this 3 working day, this rule will be applicable, because this rule is not meant, or this is not for those people who have already provided the Aadhaar authentication. Fine. So this is the scenario for this particular situation, right? Now comes the physical verification. For the physical verification, there is a one separate rule in the CGST rules, and particularly Rule 25 talked about this particular heading, that is the physical verification of the business premises in certain cases. They have made changes in this also. What they have done, they have substituted Rule 25. So this first paragraph, which is smaller in size, this first paragraph, this paragraph is actually was into existence. Now what is substitute? Substitute is your paragraph number 2, which I have mentioned here in some bigger size. Fine. So this is the new. So they have added certain new things in the paragraph number 1. Whatever they have added in paragraph number 1, I have highlighted that addition through the green color, right? Now let's observe what has been added, what's the impact of that. Now they are saying that the physical verification, as we know that they mentioned in the previous scenario, that the physical verification is important, it is mandatory. For this particular physical verification, what they have prescribed in this Rule 25, they said where a proper officer is satisfied that physical verification of place of business or person is required due to failure of Aadhaar before authentication, before the grant of registration, or so it makes sense that if you fail to do that, physical verification will be done. But additionally, what they are saying, or due to any other reason, after the grant of registration, he may get such verification of the place of business in presence of said person. So what they have added here, in the presence of said person. Because many people, they were taking the fake registration many times. They have caught these fly birds operators. So fly night operators, and what these people used to do that just in 1 or 2 days they get the registration, then they make the bogus bills, they use the credit on that, and when government come to them, then nobody is on that in that particular place of business, and even it was difficult for them to trace such type of applicants who applied for such type of registration. And mostly they face this problem with respect to the proprietors, because it is very easy to get the registrations. If it is a proprietorship concern, very less documents are required. That's why these people, the modus operandi of these people was to use this proprietorship concern, and with the bad intentions, they used to take the GST number. And when later on a proper officer used to visit their premises, they find that actually there no address exists, no one is there, and even no person exists who has applied for the registration. So it was a huge loss to the government, and even many times it's a huge, sometimes loss to the genuine recipients as well. Fine.
पायल जी, मेरा क्वेश्चन है यहाँ पे जो what is the meaning of the such person? मतलब that meant to be dealer only. Suppose in case of proprietorship, the proprietor should be there, or his authorized person can be there at the time of verification by the proper officer.
So at the time of the registration, if I explain you that who is eligible to take the registration, so the person who is the applicant, if you follow the rule number 8 of the CGST rules, it particularly talks about that who is the applicant actually. So only the applicant who will apply for the registration. For example, if I am a proprietor, I want to take the registration, and I am actually the applicant. So here I am an applicant, no doubt, at the time of the registration. For taking the registration, I am the applicant, my PAN will be used, my email will be used, my mobile will be used, because I am the applicant. Because Rule 8 clearly says that applicant's PAN, Aadhaar, mobile will be used. Then in case of the, for example, the private limited or public limited companies, then the directors of the companies, they are actually the applicant. So it is mandatory for them to use their digital signature at the time of getting the registration. If you see the instruction number 4 of the registration form REG01, in the instruction number 4 of this particular form REG01, they clearly mention that digital signatures of the applicant will be used. So who is the applicant? And they particularly mention that in case, and they have made a one actually box. There is a one table, and in that particular table they have mentioned who is the applicant or whose digital signature will be used in this particular. For example, in case of proprietor, they have particularly mentioned that the proprietor. In case of private limited and the public limited, they have particularly mentioned that the managing director and the whole-time director, right? They have particularly mentioned that he is the applicant. So it means once you apply for the registration, you can't authorize some another person to apply on your behalf. Later on, for the purpose of making the return filing, of course, you can appoint any other person as an authorized signatory. That's a different scenario. Now you can add the numbers, details, and all the details of the authorized signatories in that particular column, which is mentioned in the REG01. And then that person can do the return filing on your behalf. But applicant can never be the other person, right? So that's why here physical verification of such person who is actually the applicant of this registration. Applicant will never change.
Okay.
Authorized signature can change. Yeah.
And what is the significance of making this amendment? Because at the time of registration, it is very difficult to identify who is the person making a bogus sale in future. So is this apply at the time of registration only, or later stage also after 1 year, 2 year, when the department identify him, he is doing some manipulation in the GST transactions?
No, they have made a change initially at the stage of registration that Aadhaar authentication is mandatory just to take the registration. They will provide you the link and you have to mention actually your Aadhaar number, right? As you verify the PAN number. Similarly, the Aadhaar authentication will be there, right? It means you will be linked through your Aadhaar, because there is a one website of the Aadhaar. There's a website of the PAN, like income tax, they interlink that, right? Similarly, now they will interlink the Aadhaar, right? Because these two things, they are very important. Aadhaar as well as the place, like the physical place of the business. That is the more important thing. Because many times they have seen that the people take the registration in the name of their gardeners or their like the office boys or like the drivers and all, right? So in that scenario, they face the problem. So it means if there is a physical verification, you have provided, sometimes they provide the addresses of the drivers or the service providers or their like the drivers, etc. So sometimes they provide the address of these people also. So it means before giving you the registration, if the proper officer is going to that particular address and if he find that, okay, this is the address of the driver and this is the residential place, there is nothing like the company which they are talking about, and then they can trace such type of people. And along with, for example, the physical verification is there. For example, like you take certain place on the rent and all. For example, there is a culture of co-work these days, and you just take a place there. And for example, you use your driver, like your driver, and then they will ask you, okay, this is a physical verification. If they are doing this is a particular place, then they will call that driver actually. Where is that person who has applied? So it means the combination of these two things can be checked at one place. That's why they are saying that they will check the physical place and they will also ask the applicant actually to come before. And what additionally they will do, they done, and verification report they will prepare. They will ask for the further more documents they can ask, including the photographs. This is very important thing. These days they are doing this. They click the photograph of that particular person in whose presence they will do that. So it means they are creating an evidence and they are making themselves ensure that the registration taken has not any fraud, or it's not fraudulent actually. So they will make a report in REG 30 and they will upload this on the common portal within the 15 days of such verification as well. So it means this is not the new provision. Rule 25 already exists, and you must have seen that this physical verification can be done by the proper officers. And even in many states, you must have observed that the proper officers, they used to come and visit the like the physical place of businesses, even sometimes the digital place as well, and they check that whether the person is present there or what type of business is going on there. So they do such type of verification. They are in fact already doing such type of verification, but these certain new changes have already has been done itself in the rules, and they have added the authentication, and they have also given the powers to the proper officer that if for any other reason we can initiate before or even after the giving the registration, and we can initiate such verification, that is a physical verification. Now, revocation of cancellation of GST registration, because many people, they are still suffering due to the problem that their registration has been cancelled, and but they want to continue the business, and they were not actually filing the returns for the continuous period of the 6 months, and now government has cancelled the registration, but they want to continue. In that particular scenario, for example, the time period has also been lapsed, because what's the total procedure here? That, for example, you are not filing the returns for the time period of, for example, the continuous period of 6 months, then the department will send you the notice that why are you not filing the returns? And for example, if you are unable to justify, or many people actually they didn't respond to such type of notices. Once they did not respond to these notices, then the department, they cancelled actually the GST registration. And once it is cancelled, now what it means, what is the impact that you can't do any business on that particular registration number if this is cancelled. So you have to get it revoked. You have to revoke the cancellation. That is very important. But still many people, they don't bother about it, because the time limit is that first within the 30 days of that particular notice you have to take an action, and again the period of again further 30 days is given, where you can request the commissioner, and then again the 30 days where you can specially request to the joint commissioners. So it means if this time period has been lapsed and you are not taking any action, then the next recourse is actually within the 3 months you can go for the appeals. But if in certain scenarios this period has also been lapsed, so many people, they are stuck and they want to continue the business, but their registration has been cancelled. For this particular aspect, many people face problem, and even previously government gave the privilege, or they gave the opportunity for such type of the people to again revoke, apply for the revocation of cancellation, and on the departmental level only they give the revocation of cancellation, they activate the GST registration number. Again, many people are still facing the problem. And this problem, it was highlighted on the 39th GST Council meeting. They mentioned that the revocation of cancellation of GST number allowed for revocation or cancellation of registration till 14th March 2020 for filing application up to 30th June 2020. So, if anybody's matter is pending till 14th March, now this they are saying that they can apply till the 30th June 2020. This is the particular thing they talked through the GST Council meeting. So, next, now question arises that is there any relaxation for the time limit for taking the GST registration due to lockdown? Because during the lockdown, many people face the problem that they want to apply for the registration, they want to do certain business, and they are looking for to apply for this registration. But due to the lockdown, they are unable, right? And for example, the liability to arise the registration arise today, then as per the law, you are supposed to take the GST registration within the 30 days. But these people, they are unable to take the registration. Now question arises apart, for example, like the returns, they have give certain advantage to during this lockdown period. Have they given certain advantage or the relaxation to this particular scenario? So here the answer is no. Section 25 has particularly been deleted, or in fact there is not separately mentioned that no relaxation for this registration aspect. What it means that if I'm supposed to take registration, for example, my liability arises on 1st of May, then it means I'm supposed to take registration within the 30 days from 1st of May. So it means no relaxation is given with respect to registration. So many people face that, okay, we don't have, like we are unable to take the registration, how to do business and all, because this particular facility is not provided to them. So this is the one question which is not answered by the government. Then comes the physical verification. What type of precautions or cooperation we must do at the time of the physical verification? So it's my humble request that whenever any officer or the proper officer visit your premises, particularly for this physical verification, so first thing you have to do is to cooperate with the proper officer, and you have to be very extra vigilant or be alert at the time of physical verification of your premises, because you have to provide all the information, all the relevant information provided by asked by the officer.
Payal ma'am, your voice is not audible. I think there is some internet issue. Let's wait for 2 and 3 seconds. Friends, I have already uploaded the PPT of today's session in the comment section. You can download as per your convenience. So I also share the link in chat box, so you can download from there. So might be there's some internet issue with Payal ma'am side. So let's wait for 1 or 2 seconds, and she will join again, and we'll continue the session. So friends, you can ask your questions in the comment box and chat box in the YouTube, so that we can take your session questions.
So am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, ma'am.
So should I continue from this slide?
Yes, continue.
So it means at the time of physical verification, there is not any harm if you ask that, okay, you are not available on the 31st of May, you are out of town, or due to certain reason you are not available. You can make a humble request that, okay, you are available during this time period, and you will be available and will be present for the physical verification of where your business in your presence, right? So this type of request you can always make, and it is legal and it is available. This facility is available to you, but you have to cooperate. Otherwise, there are stringent provisions can be against you if you are not cooperating with a proper officer. And one of the major consequence, if you are not cooperating, you are not facilitating the physical verification, you are not present, and the one of the severe consequence can be that if the officer will come, you are not present, you are and he is unable to trace the things, then what he can do, he can even cancel your GST registration number. He may mention that at the physical business place no one was there, there was not any premises, or whatever type of report he can make if the verification is not possible, and in that scenario registration number can also be cancelled. Then there will be the more hassles actually.
Payal ma'am, is it compulsory to have physical verification in case of non-individual GST number, like company partnership firm?
So in any case, actually they can do the physical verification.
I think it is a choice of the department. They can select on random basis in which case they want to do physical verification or not. I think again there is some internet issue. I think some internet issue is going on at Payal ma'am's side. So it is disconnecting again and again. So let's wait for 2 and 3 seconds so that she can join again.
संगम जी स्क्रीन तो ठीक से आ रही है, स्क्रीन तो जो उनकी थी.
Yes, now she will. It is happened 2 and 3 times earlier also. So it is some internet issue.
Yes, there is certain internet issue. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it is also advisable to off your video. By doing that, your internet connectivity will be strong. Then there will be no internet issue.
Yes, you are right. You are right. Okay, sorry for interruption. Please bear with us that sometimes there is a network problem, but in few seconds it's again come. So as suggested, now I have switch off my video mode so that we can continue with our session, right?
My question is pending, ma'am. I was asking, in case of non-individual GST number like company or partnership, it is mandatory for the department to do physical verification, or they do on sample basis?
What are you saying in the last?
I am asking my question on based upon this slide. As you said, at the time of physical verification, some precautions and alert are required. So I am asking whether it is mandatory to have physical verification in case of non-individual GST number, or it is optional with the department.
No, in all the cases, it is not that the individual or the corporates or something like that. There is not any specific criteria in all the circumstances, in all the cases. Whether he is an individual, he is a proprietor, whether it's a company, whether it's a partnership, whatever type of constitution of concern it is, in all the scenarios, there is a provision for the physical verification of the premises.
Okay. So, ma'am, Payal, in practical cases, in what cases they generally try to do physical verification? How they selected? Any idea about it, ma'am? Hello, Payal ji. I think again there is some internet issue. Let's wait. Hello, Payal ji, can you listen me? Hello.
Again, there is a problem.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
It visible, ma'am. Yes, continue.
Yes. I'm clear that in all the circumstances, physical verification can be done. There's not any criteria like the individual or the corporates. In both the cases, it's individual or corporates. It will be done.
Okay.
Then comes the GST challenges. Now let's discuss the GST challenges for resolution professionals. And before starting this, I want to mention few certain things about the GST registration, which every professional must bear in mind that at the time of applying the registration, a few important things I want to mention here, that once you are applying for the registration on behalf of your clients, I suggest to the professionals not to use their mobile number and their email IDs, right? Because Rule 9(8) of CGST rules specifically mention that you will use PAN, email ID, and mobile number of the applicant. And professional is not actually the applicant. Please bear this thing in mind, because there was a severe consequence faced by one of the professional, because in that particular scenario, one of the professional
I think there is some internet issue again, so let's wait for some seconds to rejoin the matter. Although she said it is very important that we should not use the email ID and the phone number of the professionals while making GST registrations, because generally many chartered accountants have a practice to use their own email ID and the phone number to have control over the assessee. But it is not advisable nowadays, because in past recently some professional got the notices in their own email ID on behalf of the dealer assessee and face the challenges. In one or two my case also, I got the call from the department, some harassment call of the department. So it is advisable for all the chartered accountants and all the professionals not to use the email ID and the mobile number of the yours number. Instead of use client specific number. If your client do not have any email ID, try to create the new email ID in front of him and give his the email ID and the password to the client. So you can use this email ID for the other purpose also. But for GST purpose, this is your email ID and your password. So it is very important for all us professional, for all of us, not to use our email ID and the mobile number while making any new registration at any point of time. Still, I think we are waiting for the Payal ma'am to join. Sometimes things look very easy and very small, but later on at a different stage, it becomes very challenging. I remember I do one tax audit. In that case, I file one ITR in which I mention my email ID and my phone number. And later on, after 5 and 6 years, income tax department want to serve the notice under section 148. That time, he took to my the inspector came to my office and placed the notice at my premises, and he tried to harass. So friends, it is a learning for all of us not to use our email ID and phone number at any point of time, whether it is income tax, whether it's GST or any other law compliance. It is very important for all of us to note this point. It is a good thing to note here.
संगम जी, पीपीटी तो आप अपनी तरफ से भी शेयर कर लीजिए जब तक पायल जी का कनेक्शन कट होता है ना.
Okay, I can do that.
क्योंकि सिस्टम टेक्नोलॉजी का सारा फायदा यही, दिस इज द ओनली.
Yes. Joy sir, can you call her once? Can you call Payal ji once?
No.
Okay, might be she's not getting any issue in rejoining.
I'll call.
Yeah. I think my PPT is visible to all.
Yes.
PPT is visible.
Yes. She's joining. Joy sir, I'm join कर रही है. Payal ma'am, I have shared your PPT. You can also continue with this. I can change the PPT.
ये shared है, Arnav shared है.
Shared है.
Yes, shared. I have shared. Yes.
Okay. Okay, there was certain electricity glitches. GST is associated with glitches. So even when we talk about the GST and all of a sudden there was a power cut and it takes time to resume. So as we are working in a GST, we are in habit of these type of glitches. So I know that no one minds to that. Like even while filing, we used to face such type of problem, and listening to the GST is itself challenging. Okay,
Yes.
let's come again. And I was talking about certain points.
Yes, Payal ji. I think I have shared my PPT and I am operating it. You can
Okay,
just.
now you are doing this. Okay, that's why I'm unable to.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Right. So, so here I want to give one suggestion. Like as I was talking about that at the time of applying for the registration, so it is suggested not to give the professional should not use his mobile number or the email ID, because in one of the scenario the court actually held the professional to be responsible. Even the court asked the professional to make the payment of the taxes on behalf of the client. Actually, just imagine the severe consequences on the professionals if they are using this, because it is clearly mentioned in Rule 8 that whose mobile number and the email will be used. So they also talked about the three things. Like in the commas, they have mentioned the PAN, email ID, comma, PAN, comma, email ID, comma, mobile number. Now you tell me whether you will use your PAN number for applying for the GST number of client. No, answer is no. If you are not using your PAN number, then why are you using your mobile number and like the email ID? It's a similar thing actually. So if it's your PAN, you will be held responsible. If it's your mobile number or the email ID, you will be held responsible for all these things. So because this is the very common practice I have observed, that's why I'm conveying my message here, that this is the very minute thing, but the consequences can be very severe in the future, right? In fact, let's make the client aware. Why are you interfering in that? Let's make the client aware. Fine. Because the government, they have facilitated you as a GST practitioner also. Government will say that if you are if you want to use your mobile numbers, email IDs, then go and become the GST practitioner. You have a full powers to use your emails and all. The whole information will come to you actually if you are the GST professionals. So they have simultaneously provided you the facilities. They never asked you to use your mobile numbers and all. So this is the one important thing I want to convey here. And one more thing, like with respect to the documents, the two hassles basically we used to face at the time of applying for the registration, and the next hassle faced with respect to the the size of the document. Many people actually stuck because many times if it is a rent agreement, the document is very bulky and the portal provides just for example the 2 MBs, but many times a file is around 7 or 10 MBs if some people have the rent agreement having the bulky size. So that's why sometimes they face the problem. And once they upload first page, second page, then department is not satisfied all these things. They ask for the full document, and when you start uploading the full document, you are unable to do. Reason being that the document size is very huge, you are unable to again do it, right? What you used to do, then you compress it. The moment you compress it within 1 MB 2 MB, then the whole document get blur, and again you upload the document. Then what reply they used to give you? They used to say, okay, it's not visible. Then they reject the application. So these are the few problems actually the people face while applying for the registration. This is one of the major problem faced in this particular scenario.
And ma'am, what is the practical solution of in case of private limited company? Somehow, sometimes we need to upload the MOA and AOA, which is very bulky in the size, and we have faced challenges to do that. So, what is the practical solution for that?
So the practical solution is that because the visibility is very important.
Yes.
So in that scenario, when they ask for the clarification, for example, your rent agreement is extremely bulky or your MOA is a very bulky document. In that scenario, you can particularly mention in the clarification that you are attaching clearly visible these pages, and you also request the department that provide the GST registration. And you also mention that the moment you will, even before, if they request, or even after getting the GST registration, you will provide all the physical copies of these documents in the jurisdictional officer.
Okay.
So this type of arrangement can be done. Like you are putting these documents, only few pages which are very relevant and very important. For rest of the pages, you assure them by this particular date or within these time period, you will provide the rest of the document in a physical form in the jurisdictional with the jurisdictional officer. This type of arrangements can be done. Okay. Now let's move to the next thing, that is the GST challenges for the resolution professional. Next
slide.
So in this scenario, certain notifications, they were issued by the department, like the GST relief for the companies under IBC. First of all, the notification number 11/2020 was issued, and simultaneously your circular number 134/4/2020 was issued on 23rd March 2020. Next.
Second, next slide.
Okay, next. Now this particular, can I share my PPT, please?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Right. Now these are the certain notifications, they were relevant, they are applicable in respect of the resolution professionals. So these are the two important notifications, and the corresponding circulars, they were issued. Now you can note down that notification number 11 and corresponding circular 134 was issued. Then notification number 39 and corresponding circular 138 was issued with respect to the IBC matters. Now, what this circular or these notifications they were talking about? These notifications, they are talking about the GST registration to be taken by the resolution professionals. Now the question arises that why there is a need for the RPs or IRPs to take the GST registration? Why there is an obligation on them, right? There is a one story, or there you can say there is a certain things which happened in the past, and to take the GST registration is the outcome of that problems. It's an outcome or it's a solution to that problem. Let's understand what the problems the people faced actually, or this particular resolution professionals or the companies under CIRP faced. So let's discuss one of the case here. This is about the National Company Law Tribunal, Chennai Bench. Here, this is the case of the Kiran Global Cam Limited, where the resolution professional was R. Ravi Chandran versus the Assistant Commissioner. So in this case, what happened that this particular RP, resolution professional, he was unable to make the filing of the GST returns. Why he was unable to file? Because the corporate debtor, he was not filing the GST returns, and during the period of CRP, when this RP was appointed, so this period of CRP, he was unable to make the filing because the mechanism of the GST is GST return filing on the portal is that once you have to complete the filing of the previous month, only then you can make the filing of the GST return in the current month. For example, if you have not filed the GST returns for the month of January 2020, February 2020, and now you can't make the filing in the month of May. You can't file May's return. What you have to do, first you have to file the pending returns from the January. First file January, February, March, April, only then you can file the May return. This is the mechanism on the portal. But now this RP is saying that because during he was appointed, for example, on the 1st May 2020, and from the January 2020, this corporate debtor, he was not filing the GST return. Now he is saying that he is unable to file the return in the month of the May due to the mechanism or due to the working of the portal. So this was a problem faced by the RPs, right? So in this particular scenario, the NCLT held that the first thing they mentioned that the corporate debtor can access its corporate portal account for filing the GST returns generated after the commencement of corporate insolvency resolution process period before clearing the pre-CRP dues. The NCLT observed that blocking the access to the GST portal will result in barring the corporate debtor to generate the bills related to GST, because now they are unable to generate the bills. Reason being, they are unable to file the return, and many times what happened that the registration is cancelled because they are not filing the return, and in many circumstances they have actually cancelled the GST and number of these companies who are under the CRP. Then the NCLT also stated that the corporate debtor is allowed to run on going concern basis. Then it should be allowed to pay tax as well. Because they also held that certain companies, they are actually the going concern. So they should be allowed to file the returns. And finally, NCLT also held that these tax authorities, they fall within the ambit actually of the operational creditor. If you know the understanding of the this IBC, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code. So section 6, 7, 8 and 9, it talks about the who can apply for the IBC. Under the IBC, for example, there is a one financial creditor under section 7 of IBC. Then section 8 talks about the operational creditors. So now they are saying that the department is actually the operational creditor. If during the pre-CRP period, department corporate debtor is not making the payments actually of the GST, then the GST department will become a corporate creditor, and he can apply for his claims before the resolution professionals. But during the CRP, the facility must be given to the resolution professionals for making or for filing the returns. So this was the problem which was faced, and that's why the facility of new registration came into picture. So this facility came into picture through the 39 GST Council meeting, which was held on 14th March 2020. They particularly talked about the special procedure for these type of registered person, particularly for who are corporator under the provisions of IBC and undergoing the corporate insolvency resolution process. Then, to facilitate certain notifications, they were issued. First, the notification number 11/2020 was issued. This notification talked particularly about the registration parameter. Then it talked about the input tax credit. It also talked about the refunds and the ITC. Now see the registration part. This notification talked about the said class of person shall, with effect from the date of appointment of IRP or RP, be treated as distinct person. They are saying that these RPs, they are a distinct from the corporator, and once they are appointed, from the date of their appointment, within the time period of 30 days, they are supposed to take the registration, right? And simultaneously they are saying, for example, within the 30 days from the appointment, and again provided that in case where the IRP and RP has been appointed prior to the date of this notification, he shall take the registration within the 30 days from the commencement of this notification. It means, let me explain you with the example. For example, someone was appointed as a resolution professional on 1st October 2019, right? But this notification came into picture on 21st March 2020. Before that, there was not any requirement to take a new registration by the RPs. That's why they are signed, and now they are saying that within 30 days of your appointment you have to take. So it means if you are appointed on 1st October 2019, it means just within the 30 days from this notification. This notification is of the 21st March. It means just within 30 days from 21st March, anyone who was appointed as a RP before 21st March, he can or she can apply for the new registration within the 30 days from 21st March 2020. Right? This was the provision as per this particular notification. But now, by chance, country lockdown happened. When this notification was issued, there was no impact of the lockdown, and government was not at all thinking any in the direction of the lockdown. So notifications for the COVID came, that is the notification number 35 came to give the relaxation to extend the dates for filing of the GST returns till 30th of June 2020. As I told you earlier also, that for the registration, actually section 25, no extension has been given. So this is also the part of the registration. So no extension impliedly is on the registration by the resolution professionals. So it means they were also crying that even within the 30 days, no one applied for this. And just to get this solution, again, another notification number 39/2020, this was issued by the government, and now it provides a solution to this problem of this COVID. And through this notification, now they say that if you are appointed as a resolution professional before that particular notification, before the 21st March 2020, in that scenario, you can apply for the GST registration till 30th of June 2020. Now relaxation has been provided particularly to the resolution professional, not to all. Just I want to mention here, still Anyone who is supposed to take a regular registration, he or she has to take within 30 days. But particularly in the scenario of this resolution professionals, if any resolution professional has not applied for the registration till time, now the government has provided the one particular date that till 30th of June 2020, they can apply for the registration. One thing you have to bear in mind here, that once this 30th June 2020 will pass, then again the rule will apply that once the person is appointed as an IRP or RP, within the time period of the 30 days, that person is supposed to take registration, right? Now this is the corresponding circular which is talking about the GST registration by resolution professionals.
Payal, what is the liability of IRP in case he is failed to take the GST registration up to a certain time? Is he personally liable for the GST?
Yes, he is personally liable. Even IBC, which is the mother act for the RPs, because they are made RPs under the IBC, and even they are under IBC put a obligation on the, or it is a duty of the RPs to comply with all the laws. Yes, of course, he can hire any professional, any legal consultant or any other person to provide the facility or to do on his behalf. This can be done, but this is the whole sole responsibility of the resolution professional, because he is bound by the law. In fact, the IBC itself is asking that you have to comply with all the laws. So
Okay.
he has to comply with the provisions of the GST as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, question
Ma'am, my
arises.
last question from my side is: can IRP can authorize some other person to take GST number and using his DST to file the using his GST DST to file the GST returns? Is it possible?
Again, I want to say that if we see the instruction number 4 of REG 01 form, then in instruction number 4 they have mentioned that who will apply, who is the applicant. In that scenario, they are in the last column they have mentioned any other person, and correspondingly they have mentioned that who is in charge, who is the in charge of company. So in the during this time period of the insolvency CIRP, this person is actually the person who is managing the affairs of the company. So the whole responsibility is actually lying on the RPs.
Okay, got it.
So he will apply for the registration. Later on, of course, for the return filing, he can hire any person, or he can ask any employee of the company or even the CFO of the company can be authorized as the authorized signatory for filing of the GST returns. But for the first time, for the taking of the GST registration, he is the applicant. There are so many issues. Now for taking the registration, now the first point which I have mentioned here, why? Because first you have to take a decision about the registration, why you will take registration, whether it is required or now not. First you have to answer yourself whether the GST registration is required in your particular scenario or not. Unnecessarily you will not take the GST registration. You here means the resolution professionals. So you have to take the decision, because if there is a scenario, for example, company is a going concern, company, because for example, if company is under the CRP just due to the financial creditors, company has not made a payment to, for example, any of the bank or NBFC, and they file a case against you under the NCLT for these payments and all as a financial creditors. But you are making the payments to the GST department, to all the government departments, and rest of the payments you are making. And the GST is actually not your operational creditor. It's a going concern. In that scenario, if you are filing your returns regularly, your GST returns regularly, then in that scenario, there is not any requirement to take the GST new registration by the resolution professionals. They can continue with the existing GSTN number, and they can file the existing they can file the returns using the existing GSTN number. There is not at all any requirement to take the new GSTN number. So this is the one scenario. Now there is another scenario. For example, your corporate debtor, he has not filed GST returns since 1 year. For example, past 1 year he has not filed the returns, and once you are appointed, now your GST department is also the corporate creditor. In that scenario, now it's not possible for you. For example, you are appointed on for example, on 1st of February 2020 you was appointed. So it was not possible, because since the last 1 year he was not filing the returns. Now you can't make the filing, because first you have to make the filing of last 1 year, only then you can file, because this is the mechanism of GST portal. So in this particular scenario, you will take the GST new registration as a resolution professional. Now the second question arises, when? When is very important, like within the 30 days from the appointment of resolution professional. For example, resolution professional is appointed on 1st of April. Then within the 30 days, like within 30 days from the 1st April, RP will take the new registration. Now question arises, who will take the registration under this particular scenario? If company is under CRP, who means here? The resolution professional means the applicant is the resolution professional. Now the challenge arises in case of how, because now you are feeling that okay, there is a one prescribed form, that is the REG01. Are you supposed to apply through the REG01? And once you use the REG01, there are certain challenges which I have particularly penned down, and I have make a suggestions, I have make a representation on those all the points to the ministry, and I'm very happy that they are taking care of those things. They are taking up this matter further to the higher authorities, and I'm really hoping, and I'm very positive on that, very soon they will come up with more clarity with the GST registration for the RPs. Because reason being, in part A, they are supposed to give the PAN number, right? Of course, the RP will not give his or her PAN number in the part A of REG01. So here, he is supposed to give the PAN number of the company, because he is working on behalf of that company. It doesn't mean that his PAN will be used, right? So this is the one thing you have to take care with the existing forms, because there is not much clarity on this, but as per the understanding of both the laws and IBC and the GST, we can draw, although there's not much clarity on this issue, that you will use the PAN number of the company. And once you start filling the part B, then you also stuck that on the column that the reason for taking the registration. So here I would suggest that there is a one option, reason for taking the registration, that others option is there. So under the heading others, you can mention that under the notification number 11/2020, you are taking the registration as an RP. So you can mention that particular notification, and you can mention that you are a RP. Then the commencements of business is also one of the gray area, that what should be mentioned here. And then when the liability to pay tax or to pay to get the registration arise, of course here you will mention the date of appointment of RP. For example, RP is appointed on 1st April, so the date of liability to take the registration will be 1st of April 2020, which is the date on which you are appointed. Now the next gray area is that they are not particularly asking about RPs. They are asked because the existing form REG01 is talking about the directors. Now under the director field, what should be mentioned? Because during the CRP period, board is suspended. So if board is suspended, then there is a no question of putting the details of the directors. Now the another ambiguity or another glitch is that if you will not mention the details of the directors, form will be incomplete and you will not be able to submit the application. So this particular point I have already highlighted or put to the mind of the authorities that this is one of the gray area which must be considered or which must be, and for this the clarity must be given. But of course, through clarification, they have mentioned that in the authorized signatory, you will give the details of the resolution professionals, right? So here the digital signature of the resolution professional will be used, and as an authorized signatory, all the details of resolution professional will be given. Now many people they were in the confusion that okay, because under the CRP process, first the IRP, interim resolution professional, is appointed, right? And later on, he may continue as a resolution professional, or sometimes some another person is appointed as a resolution professional. For example, Mr. A can be IRP and Mr. B may be appointed as a final RP of the company. So there was a confusion that again the new RP has to take the registration. So the answer is that no new RP will take the registration. So if the registration is taken by the IRP, then in that scenario, once the RP will be appointed, then what actions the RP will take? He will make himself as an authorized signatory. So he will make an amendment in the existing registration. He will not at all apply for the new registration. So this is the way you will proceed. First take decision, then you must know when, during what time duration you have to take registration, who will take registration, this is very important, and then how you will take registration, this is also one of the area. So now here I would request all the participants, if you are facing some unique problem with respect to the registration by RPs, now it's my humble request, please do write to me on my email ID. If you have any problem, you can talk to me, because from day to day, from whenever I feel that certain problems the industry or the stakeholders are facing, I keep writing to the ministry so that I can make an addition to my existing representation. So if you face any problem, then you can write to me. Now the next scenario. Returns. Now they are talking that once as a RP you are taking the GST registration, there is a concept of the first return under section 40. Many people they were confused that what is this first return? Is there certain specific another form which they are supposed to file after the appointment as RP? Actually, the answer is no. There is not any specific first return form. No, there is nothing like that. So what is the meaning of the first return? Just after your appointment as a RP, the first return here means the first return you will file as an RP, that is your 3B and your GSTR1. So for example, you are appointed on 1st October 2019. Your obligation starts from 1st October, but you are taking the registration in the March 2020. So whatever transactions actually happen during your tenure, your appointment time period, you will report all the transaction in your first return. First return means 3B itself. First return means GSTR1 itself, right? So he will furnish the return, he will make the payments, and he will comply with all the provisions of GST law during the CRP period. So this is all about the returns. Then about the input tax credit. Now people they are also stuck with the input tax credit. Corporate debtors company is stuck as a recipient, and the person to whom you are supplying, they are also stuck with the input tax credit. So what solution the government has provided in this particular scenario? Because they are saying that the said class of person shall in his first return shall be eligible to avail the input tax on the invoices covering the supply of goods or services or both received since his appointment as IRP RP, but bearing the GST number of rest while registered person. So here the thing is that in your first return you have to bear this, keep this thing in mind that these things should be reported in the first return. Means whatever input tax credit, maybe you have used the GST number of the rest while registered person. Rest while registered person here means the corporate debtors GST number. Now you have taken a new registration number as an RP. So any credit from 1st October, for example, if I am appointed as a RP on 1st October 2019 till the date, so till the date of my first return, I can take the input tax credit under my registration, right? My registration under RP. So here I have not to bother about section 16 subsection 4, and even I have need not to bother about rule 36(4), which is particularly talking about the restriction of 10%. So I need not to bother about that. I can take the input tax credit as a recipient. Now what about my recipients? If I am making a supply, my the corporate debtors company is making any supply to any person, they people are also stuck. Their input tax credit is also stuck. Reason being this, because the returns they were not filed. So that's why they are saying even such recipients, they can also take the input tax credit, even the invoice they are bearing the GST and number of the rest while registered person. It means here the government has taken care of the input tax credit of both the stakeholders, like you as a recipient and you as a supplier, and they are taking care of your recipient as well, right? Then here I have mentioned the provisions of section 16 subsection 4 and rule 36 sub rule 4 just for your information for this relevant place. Now question arises to the refund, because many people, they were stuck with the situation that they actually deposited the cash in the cash ledger of the GST and of the corporate debtor. For example, I am appointed on 1st October 2019. My responsibility arises from 1st October, and now I deposited, for example, 10 lakh rupees cash in the GST and number of the corporate debtor, right? But now as per the new notification, I am supposed to take the registration. Now what will happen to my cash which I have deposited actually, right? So if that cash is lying in the GST and number of my corporate debtor, and if it is deposited by me as an RP during my tenure, in that particular scenario, I am eligible to take the, I here means the RP. RP is eligible to take the refund of that cash ledger, right? Why they are mentioning it here? Because you can't take the cash ledger refund of cash ledger balance if your GSTR 3 and 1 they are not filed. The government, the department will not provide you the refund. But in this particular scenario, they are saying that of course you have not filed actually the return for the November 2019. Even though the 3B and the 1 they are not filed, even then they will provide you the cash ledger refund if it is deposited by RP and if it is deposited during his tenure, right? So this is all about the refund. And if you have any question, then you can ask.
Yes, Payal, there are some certain questions which we have received. So I just reading the questions.
Right.
So first question is very basic question from Mr. UK Tripathi ji. He want to ask, in case of company and partnership firm, Aadhaar number required for the director and the partner. Please confirm.
What are they saying? In case of?
Company or partnership firm, Aadhaar number of the partner and director are required. Kindly confirm.
They are talking about the RP scenario.
No. They are talking about the registration of the new GST. In
Okay,
case of new GST registration.
Okay. Of course, the Aadhaar number, when you are applying in the details of the partners, they ask for the partner's detail. At that time, of course, the Aadhaar of that particular partner will be mentioned.
Okay.
When you are talking about the directors, then the Aadhaar of the director and the DIN details will be mentioned.
I think, ma'am, it is compulsory now. I think there is no option to skip Aadhaar number of director or partner.
Yes. Now it is mandatory. Now Aadhaar is mandatory.
Okay. So if you go to the next question, it is how to apply for revocation of cancellation up to 30th June as per section 39 of CGST or 39 GST council meeting. Is it online or offline, as GST is already blocked by department and not able to apply for revocation online? Are you able to understand the question? Should I repeat? Payal ji? I think there is some connection issue. Let's wait for 1 or 2 seconds so that Payal ji come join and we can discuss the question. So friends, you can write your questions in chat box. We will ask the question to our learner speaker so that we can have the clear all the doubts. Friends, I have already uploaded the PPT of today's session in the live chat and also on the comment section. You can download from that. And friends, kindly ask your questions in the chat box so that we can take your question in the live sessions. Or even friends, if you have any other question after the session also, you can write in the comment section. We will try to have the answer as soon as possible from our learner speaker. So let's wait for 2 and 3 seconds so that she can join it again. Friends, soon we are going to launch 2 very important courses for all of you. One is on the transfer pricing. So friend, we will start a 4 to 5 days course on transfer pricing. In that we will cover from basic knowledge. I want to see that on the basics of the transfer pricing, how we can start the transfer pricing and to expert knowledge. So friend, you can WhatsApp me those who want to join such course. And apart from that, friends, we are going to launch one 3-day course on the health is wealth. Basically, friend, in lockdown and other scenario, health is a very important topic to all of us to understand. So in health, basically, we will discuss of the physical health, mental health, and our emotional health. So these 3 things we will definitely discuss in the upcoming course of 3 days. So friend, those who want to interested in such courses, they can WhatsApp me. I will share the details with them so that they can join it. So and you can friend also text me the topics which you want to take in our upcoming webinars so that we can have a topic of the interest of the major stakeholders in the society, so that we take the all the good topics, hot topics, so that knowledge of all professionals can be increased. So might be Payal ma'am is going to join us in the next few seconds. Then we'll take all the questions those who have asked in the chat box in the YouTube. So let's wait for the few seconds. She's just going to join us. So friends, I am repeating that soon we are going to launch 2 important courses. One is for transfer pricing. It is for 5-day course, and one 3-day course on the health is wealth. How we can maintain our health in a better manner so that we can have a good life. I think Payal ma'am join us.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So ma'am, the question is that Question is that how to apply for the revocation of cancellation up to 30th June as per the 39th GST Council meeting. It is online or offline, as GST is already blocked by department. I want to say that department ने GST number already blocked कर दिया है. Then how to apply for the revocation?
So there, it has to be done online only. There is a one form particularly on your portal, on your login page for the revocation. They have mentioned under the registration, under the services that apply for revocation of cancellation of registration. You just have to apply from there.
Okay. So there is another question from Mr. Sukesh Jainji. ITC credit lying in the old registration of corporate debtor and IRP/IP has taken new registration. Can IP or IRP adjust utilize ITC on the old registration in the new registration? Please clarify.
No, he will take consider only the duration of his appointment. For example, he is appointed, as I told you in my example, 1st October. So he will take care of only that duration. He will not utilize the previous one. But if he is continuing with that existing one, then there is not actually any problem.
Okay. Mr. Anshika Agarwal want to ask, ma'am, RP don't get all document. There is a major challenge in collecting document for GST registration. I think she's talking is very common thing and it's very important and facing by the most of the IIPs.
Okay, that's why I have given the recommendation on to the ministry as well, that these are the various difficulties, and here I want to inform that even I have drafted the draft of that particular form, that this should be the easiest form, should be relevant for the RPs, because the RPs, they are facing so many problems. And in case they are facing certain difficulties in collecting the documents, they are saying when I talk to them, so reply from that you can, for example, if any document is relevant to your MCA, then you can take the document from the MCA. If that document is lying with the GST itself,
yes,
then you can talk to your jurisdictional officer, and the officer will help you to take the document. But there are the hassle. So that's why I asked that there are certain hassles. So if you are finding some specific problems, then I suggest that do write to me with the company name and all, so that we can make a representation clearly that this is the company and we are practically facing this problem.
Okay. So ma'am, in current scenario, we have required to compile all the complete document in case of IRP apply for the GST registration. There is no exemption to the IRP for GST registration, is it?
Yeah, they have to provide all the documents actually, and there are so many ambiguities. There's not actually any clarity. For example, if I talk about the directors, like the detail of director, as per the IPC, now the board is actually suspended. Then why the GST and asking from the director details from me? That doesn't make sense. And moreover, the GST department already has the details of directors through the previous GSTN number of that corporator. So why again and again they are asking the same information from me?
Okay, got it. And there is another very important question asked by Sanjeev Vijayji. Ma'am, if debtor under IBC process, what about the 180-day limit fixed under GST? If company is not paying within 180 days, whether it is required to reverse the ITC claim earlier?
Yeah, during your tenure, you have to take care all the provisions of the GST, right? During your tenure, you need not to bother about the pre-GST CRP period. Only during the CRP period, you will take care of all the GST laws and which is applicable. Yeah.
Okay. Two things is very important here. We cannot utilize the credit earlier before our period, because that GST credit was in the older GST number, and now we have a new GST number, so we cannot utilize the earlier credit. And other thing is that whatever invoice is not paid earlier in new GST number, I am not required to reverse such GST. I have to focus on my period only from the date when I applied for the GST. Am I correct, ma'am? Payal, ma'am? I think there is again some connection issue. I think it's first time happened. There is 4 or 5 times we have connection issue. So friend, we no one have a control over it. So kindly bear with us. She's joining in next some seconds. So meanwhile, friend, you can ask another question. You can write in chat box so that we can have a live answer on such question. As soon as she will join, we will have the answer of your question. I think all the questions which are mentioned in the chat box, I have already asked to her. So there is no another question pending. If it is pending, can kindly write it again and let me know so that we can have the answer of it. Friends, sometimes topic looks very easy, but when we go in the depth of the topic and we read section to section, rule to rule, it becomes very important to understand very new things. Similar to today's session, registration, it look very easy, but sometimes when we do practical, we do something as a general practice, but having the knowledge of that, why this section, why this particular column is here, it is so important to understand having a long-term GST implications. Because sometimes I found in my personal case of my client, he took some service tax number of X service. When he applied for service tax refund, in that case he has a problem because department say you do not have the registration of particular service and you how can take a refund. So when in GST also, it is important to consider each and everything in a very minute manner and important manner, so that later on at assessment stage or refund stage, it will not make any issue. I find also face many times in case of export with payment duty, many of our professionals making some mistakes in punching the invoices and their bill of entry, and bill of entry is also matching with the C8 side. So it is important to having putting correct information in the GSTR1 and other return so that matching can be possible and later on refund can easily be accessible after processing the return. So it is very important for all of us to taking GST in a very serious manner and giving our client best possible service in GST. I think Payal ma'am have joined us. We'll take her view. Yes, Payal ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a power cut problem actually.
Yes, ma'am. Might be due to the summer, there is a huge utilization of electricity and ACs. Because of that, power cut is very common in nowadays.
Every time they are going into DG and also that's why we are facing some problem. Yeah.
You don't understand, ma'am. So I was just concluding the two main point, ma'am. In case of IRP took a new registration, he is not the ITC of earlier GST number is not available to him to utilizing for the current period GST liability. Am I right?
Yeah, because he has in even in the first return, he will mention all the details with respect to that time period from his date of appointment.
Okay.
From his date of appointment till this time, he will report all the things.
Yes, ma'am. And the very another important thing is that the payment of the past invoices on which 180 days is already over in IRB is not required to reverse the GST on those invoices which is belong to the period earlier than his registration. Am I right, ma'am?
No, he will take care of only his tenure.
Tenure.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is another last question we will take today. It is uh, how can get current invoice due which is due under new IRP? Is it on pro rata basis of total due of the debtors or it's depend on IRP or court will decide?
Sorry, I'm unable to understand. What's the
Okay,
question?
ma'am, I can repeat it. How can get current invoice due which is due under new IRP? Is it on pro rata basis of total due of all debtors or it depend upon IRP or court will decide? That means, ma'am, in new IRP, he want to say there are some debtors to whom the company want to make the payment. So that payment will be decided on pro rata basis or court will decide how much amount is required to pay to which debtor.
If they are asked, like whatever payment.
And you can close your video, might be because of video internet connectivity is not so clear. Payal ma'am, can you audible? I am audible. I request you to kindly close your video so that your internet connectivity can become better and you can join. So friend, I think there is another issue in the network issue. So I think let's wait for some more seconds so that she can join and we can have conclude our session. Although main part of the session is already completed and all the question are already replied other than one question, and we are waiting for her to join. Hope friend, you have understood that we are going to launch two new courses, one on transfer pricing and another on health is wealth issue. So kindly text me those who are interested. I will provide the detail of such programs. That program is going to be finalized very soon, so that all we can join that and sharp our transfer pricing skills and focus on our health also. So friend, as I told you in transfer pricing course, we will start from the basic. So those who are not yet any idea of the transfer pricing can have an idea for those this course and have a, develop their practice in transfer pricing. And this is also a very good area of working, because nowadays very MNCs and companies are working in India. Many transactions are doing from outside India. So that is very important to understand the provision of transfer pricing. And sometimes I found that many professionals are unaware about the transfer pricing provision, and because of that they're not able to find the applicability of transfer pricing in the company in which they are doing statutory audit or tax audit. So, friend, it is very important to understand the basic of transfer pricing so that we can advise our client on time what are the beneficial for them and what provision are applicable, so that in later stage it will not get any kind of difficulty from a department point of view. And somehow it is a professional opportunity for the professionals also to provide an additional service to their client. So, friend, don't miss such course. Hello. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think I am clear with my question, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Actually, I asked one of the participants asked that about the distribution of the relation amount to the debtors. It is a court judgment or it is on pro rata basis?
This is the IPC question they are asking
Yes,
to
yes.
me actually. This
Okay,
is not
okay,
a
okay, okay.
GST question actually. What
Okay.
is the procedure that
I understand. I
this
understand.
is
I understand.
typically the IPC question,
Got
like
it,
how
ma'am.
you will set or you will make the payments. So there is actually the one procedure and there is a one system. There is a ranking system, and on the basis of that ranking, you will start giving the payments. So that criteria you have to follow through the IBC. Yeah.
Okay, it's clear, ma'am. So,
Yeah.
ma'am, I think we have to conclude our session because all question is already answered.
Yeah.
No other question is pending, ma'am. You took the session so beautifully that there is very less number of question generated. So that means the things are very much self-explanatory in the nature. So thank you very much, Payal ji, for taking this session in such a beautiful manner and clear the doubts of our participants. Sometimes things look very easy, like a GST revision looks very easy, but it is also very important. As I told in the starting of the session, if the base of anything is uh, make in a good manner, make
Right.
a good sense, then the later assessment part and other thing that good, it automatically clear at a very large level. So taking this very important session, and IBC is one of the very important topic, and for GST point of view, it is really very much mess, because whenever I talk to any professional to talk on GST and IBC, so very few professionals are available in the market to talk on this special matter. So I express my sincere thanks and express sincere my gratitude to you to coming on this our channel and discuss very important topic. And I also express my sincere thanks to all the participants, those who have joined us through live and those who will see this video post a live stream. And friends, even still, you can write your doubts in the comment section. As soon as we receive your doubts, we definitely clear with Payal ma'am and try to resolve as soon as possible. And I also request you kindly subscribe our YouTube channel. So and also click bell icon so that you can come to know about upcoming videos and live sessions. And friends, as I told you, we are going to launch two new courses. One is on transfer pricing which is supposed to go, launch on next week, and one is on the health issue, which will going to launch in the evening time. The health issue session name will be Health is Wealth. That is for 3-day course in which you talk about the physical health, mental health, and your emotional health basically. So I request you all participants, those who want to join that course, kindly text me your information so that I will share you detail of that course. So I think I'm going to close this session. You want to say something, ma'am? I think we should close the session now. So thank you very much to all participants.